9th day of February 2016 at 9 a.m. in the Marshall County Courthouse, Meeting Room 2, Northeast corner, 3rd floor, with all 3 members present. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Just kind of a notice to the public, the Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. You are requested to approach the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chairperson to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate, and a roll call vote will follow. First item on our agenda is the approval or the amendment of the agenda that has been presented.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the agenda as printed.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Moving on to the consent agenda, number 2, the approval of the minutes from regular session of January 26, 2016. Third, file clerk of district court report from January 16th. This is general supplemental fund, 10% surcharge for a total of $613.50. Number 4 is to accept the annual manure management plan update from Burt Farm and Livestock in Company, ID number 62502. Manure management plan received and placed on file. No changes to this manure management plan. Number 5, accept manure management plan update from Kevin Blood, ID number 60101. This is an annual update received and placed on file with the following changes made to the manure management plan. Change in crop rotation or optimal yields, using manure analysis for determining application rates when applying manure. Item number 6 is the accept manure management plan update from David Eggers, ID number 56995. Again, this is an annual update received and placed on file with the following changes made to the manure management plan. Change in crop rotation or optimal yields, using manure analysis for determining application rates when applying manure. Item number 7, approve the mobile band shell rental agreement to the Central Iowa Fair. They have submitted and completed a rental agreement for the mobile band shell to be placed at the Central Iowa Fairgrounds from Tuesday, July 5th, 2016 through Sunday, July 10th, 2016 for the Central Iowa Fair. Item number 8, approve the claims as audited and authorize the county auditor and recorder to issue payment of same. The listing of claims paid at this meeting will be included with all claims paid for the month of February. The February list of claims will be part of the first meeting in March. I would entertain a motion on our consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item number 9, approve personnel action. This is a change rate of pay for Whitney Hunt, Auditor and Recorder's Office, Assistant Auditor and Recorder Real Estate, full-time change rate of pay from $21.98 per hour to $22.58 per hour, effective March 1st, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we change the rate of pay for Whitney Hunt, Auditor and Recorder's Office, Assistant Auditor and Recorder Real Estate, full-time rate change of pay from $21.98 an hour to $22.58, effective March 1st, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anything? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
The next item, the change rate of pay for Cody Hildebrand, Buildings and Grounds Department, full-time maintenance mechanic 2, change rate of pay from $14.75 per hour to $15.50 per hour, effective February 9th, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the change of rate of pay for Cody Hildebrand, Buildings and Grounds Department, full-time maintenance mechanic 2, change rate of pay from $14.75 per hour to $15.50 per hour, effective February 9, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd like to just briefly speak to 3 of our change of rates pay that have to do with buildings and grounds this morning. This is a continuation of our revamping of this department that has gone on for the last 5 years. It's operating far below the budgeted amount that it was 5 years ago salary-wise. It has been streamlined. We've got the right people in the right seats of the bus doing the job. The job is getting done, and there have been adjustments in pay made accordingly because of the quality of the work that is being done by actually less people.
And this is actually bringing them up to they started out at a lower rate, and they've, after 6 months?
They came off of probation.
Yes.
And this is one step, and that we've got one more in mind later on.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Moving on to the next item, the change rate of pay for Bowen Fleming, Buildings and Grounds Department, full-time maintenance mechanic 2, change rate of pay from $14.75 an hour to $15.50 an hour, effective February 9, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the change rate of pay for Bowen Fleming, Buildings and Grounds Department, full-time maintenance mechanic 2, change rate of pay from $14.75 an hour to $15.50 an hour, effective February 9th, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Moving on, item number G under this category, change rate of pay for Lucas Badke, Buildings and Grounds Department Director, full-time change rate of pay from $45,000 a year to $55,000 per year, effective February 16th, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the change rate of pay, Lucas Badke, Buildings and Grounds Department Director, full-time. Change rate of pay from $45,000 per year to $55,000 per year, effective February 16th, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Once again, this is an individual that filled in for our last Buildings and Grounds and supervisor. We brought Lucas in at a starting rate. We said we were going to come back and revisit that. After 3 months, Lucas, I apologize, it's been 5. We've been busy with the budget. So this is more of a correction between where he started at and where the previous director was. This particular salary is very well in line with the skill sets that he brings to the department.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item number 10, the Marshall Economic Development Impact Committee. Tom Dimerly is here, and he'll present an annual MEDIC update to us. And Tom, good to see you again today. It's twice in one day.
Well, thank you guys for the opportunity to present and for being a partner throughout the years. Denny's alluding to the fact that we already had our monthly board meeting this morning. So Denny sits on that board, and we appreciate having that representation of the county. One of the things that I'll bring up real briefly throughout my presentation is the word partnerships, partners. None of the projects or the deals that we've done over the last 5 years would have been possible without having multiple partners sitting at the table. And I wanted to just kind of bring that up and give a couple of notable projects that we've seen success over the last 5 years. One being the Tallcorn Tower rehabilitation, and the county played a partnership role on that. And that's a great project to note that we had the opportunity to work on in the MEDIC offices, where we had 17 different programs that came to the table in order to get all the funding mechanisms in place for the Tallcorn Tower rehabilitation. And so many that we were actually highlighted on the April issue of the National Journal of Tax Credits, which you may not read, but guys like me do, and developers do. And you can't go by that kind of exposure. So that's an exciting one where you had many, many partners coming to the table. In the last year, one of the projects that I wanted to really bring up and make note of, again, has partners written all over it. And that was the expansion of the new manufacturing campus for Midwest Manufacturing, also known as Menards. When Menards says that they manufacture their own products, they actually do. Made in the USA, well, that's Midwest Manufacturing is actually just a division of Menards. And so that was a unique project in that the project required a rail line in order to land them here in Marshall County. We looked at multiple sites, both inside city limits, out in the county, landed on the location south of the soccer fields, but we had to get the rail line down there. And Fisher Controls owned the rail line. And they partnered with us. We were able to work with them and actually bring assets to the table on that project for their downtown campus in exchange for the rail line. And at the same time, go in and improve the soccer fields and leave them better than we found them because we disrupted their entrance. The city played a role in that. The state played a role in that with the Iowa DOT. The county played a role. And so now we see this great new campus out there that will start with 40 jobs, expanding to could be 150 to 200 when it's all said and done and built out. We don't know what the future will hold on that project. Today I invited Peter Bratney with Bratney Corporation to come up here. That's our newest Marshall County business member that will be coming to the community. Really appreciate the county planning and zoning department on their help that they have provided us. That's going to be about a 12,000 square foot facility right at the corner of 330 and Highway 30 out in Consumers Energy Gateway Center. And we're happy to see that because action creates action. And so Bratney Corporation, actually they build large grain handling facilities. They're based out of the Des Moines area and they work internationally. So if you've seen ADM over in Cedar Rapids, some of those really large grain handling facilities, they design build those. And what they're going to be doing out here at the Gateway Center is actually manufacturing the legs that you see connecting between grain bins, also any kind of steel fabrication out there. And they're going to employ 15 to 20 individuals out there, just a nice project. But again, it was partners on that one, working with Iowa Area Development Group and the Iowa Economic Development Authority, the county on the zoning side of things. Very excited to see that. But in that park, action creates action. And so we think we'll see some exciting things that come from that. We're at that point in the year. We're in our 5-year capital campaign cycle. I have made a request to the county, and we do appreciate the partnership. We wouldn't be able to do what we've done over the last 5 years if we didn't have partners like that. By the numbers, we run on a 5-year schedule. Through our office, we've worked on about $800 million in capital investment projects here in Marshall County. Obviously, the Marshtown Generating Station plays a large role in that. But all the way down to smaller projects. One of the partnerships that we've set up in the last 5 years is with the Iowa Small Business Development Center, where they're actually coming back to Marshall County and working with small business clients. So if you look at something like the salon down on 13th Street or Happy Tales Pet Grooming, who knew you can make money in a pet daycare? Who knew? But you can. And she worked with Ted Bear with the SBDC. And again, it was partnerships. He came in and worked with those small businesses to maybe reevaluate their plan, look at cash flow, and then we get involved on the back end with our revolving loan fund that we maintain through MEDIC. And so, again, it's partnerships that help us see the success that we've seen from a commercial community standpoint. Where are we heading in the future? MEDIC completed a housing study late in it'd be October of 14. It seems like it was yesterday. We've taken that housing study and really gone all over the Midwest, putting that in front of potential developers, letting them know about the opportunity here. But what that housing study showed us is that 22% of our local workforce was commuting greater than 45 miles. And so when we work hard to go get Midwest Manufacturing, Menards, or the Bratney project, or help one of our existing businesses here in town expand, when those people are electing to live greater than 45 miles away, we are not realizing the economic gains associated with the hard work that went into landing that project and helping them expand. And so the MEDIC board has said, okay, we started out very much industrial, got into some commercial, worked on some retail. We worked with Tyson's this year, Slumberland. The MEDIC board said, okay, we get it. Housing is a priority. And a lot of the work that went on after the housing study by groups like the Ty Foundation bringing in IDM to facilitate some focus groups with some of those younger individuals who are making that commute. One of the resounding things that came out was that you didn't have an available rental for me in the quality that I was looking for. And so that's what we've been focusing on quite a bit is multifamily rental on the workforce side, workforce quality, and then also on the executive level. I mentioned the Tall Corn Towers. That's an income-restricted project. We really need to bring some market rate online. And if we can do that in the volume that the housing study showed we needed, we believe that it'll naturally stimulate a single-family building market. And so we've worked hard over the last year. If everything came to fruition that we're working on right now, we could see upwards of 150 units coming online. But there are hurdles of getting there that we have to backfill because we aren't commanding the rents here like you are in West Des Moines or somewhere like that. So you've got to get them to come out of their backyard where they know their risk exposure, where these developers, they know what they can command for those rents. We're still kind of an unknown up here. So a lot of work has gone into that. We've seen some success with Orton Homes coming to town. They're doing 2 spec homes right now, and I just heard this morning they pulled 2 more permits out in the South Point development. So getting that one going again. And part of what happened, we pulled a lot of housing stakeholders into a room and started looking at what are the constraints. The developers were telling us what the constraints were, why they weren't investing the capital in housing in the area. And one of them was infrastructure expense. And so it was as simple as doing an inventory of where do we already have the pipe in the ground? Where's the road already stubbed in? And we really put those developments out in front of these developers we were trying to show the market. And we've seen success in that. So I think a lot of good things to come on that front. We're going to continue to focus on our existing businesses. We want to make sure that they stay here, they maintain that they're healthy. If there's programs out there that can be to their benefit, we want to make sure that they're tapping into those as a part of our business retention. And again, building up any resources we can for entrepreneurs. So I don't want to take too much of your time.
Well, you talk about the partnerships, and you're associated with the Greater Des Moines Partnership. And there again, you learned that, I guess, being on the board. And now this other partnership we talked about this morning, and I can't remember what that was.
It's just kind of we're referring to it as the East region.
Like I say, it didn't really have a name.
It doesn't really have a name yet. It's just kind of
like,
coalescing,
yeah.
but it's Marshall County, it's Jasper County, and Eastern Polk County, kind of just sitting at the table. Really more of just an information sharing. The idea being, we can learn best practices because within that 330 corridor and that I-80 corridor, it's really poised for growth. And so we want to make sure that we're tapping into that opportunity as well, being right up the road. And so, that's just one more partnership that comes together. And it's kind of a hub and spoke model. If we don't know the answer down at our offices, we probably know somebody that does through those kinds of partnerships. And that's what we want to be here for.
Again, you
be a
got
real
a lot of irons
resource.
in the fire, and that's good to kind of keep, because every once in a while you pull one out and it works.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it when I can knock something off the agenda list because it came to fruition. But as Denny knows, projects like Menards, that took close to 18 months to bring that to full fruition from start to
Get
finish.
a lot of people to the table to make it work.
Yeah, and almost every project is like that. They usually have 3 or 4 different players that are at the table. Whether sometimes it's the banker and the accountant, and sometimes it's a public-private partnership. It really varies, but we try to bring all the tools we can to achieve success.
Tom, I know you've requested a 5-year commitment from us at the county. We're going to stick with 1 year. We've had a lot of challenges with our budget these last few years. Looking into a crystal ball for the preceding years that are going to be coming down the road, one of the things that we're very concerned about are agricultural values when we do our budgeting. Ag valuations are based on a 5-year rolling average, and 2 of the key leading indicators of those rolling averages are commodity pricing for the crops and land pricing. We've seen negative results in those 2 key leading indicators for 2 years in a row. We anticipate them again for this year and probably for the next 3 or 4 years. So we're going to be faced with declining ag values, which is a very large portion of our ability to raise revenues. So that's why we're when we do things, and we've spoken to you in the past, we are not going to do a 5-year commitment. We anticipate our budget getting more constricted in the following years after this one than they have been in the past. I wish I could say different. Please don't shoot the messenger. It's just the economy and the way things are going. But I truly believe that unless we get some drastic turnarounds in our economy, that our pie that we have to be able to levy against is actually going to decline in these next 3 years, and we're going to be faced with some more stringent budgets.
Well, we appreciate the consideration if you get on an annual basis.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
John. Appreciate it. All right, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would motion that we continue our contribution on an annual basis for this fiscal year for $50,000 for the fiscal year 2016-2017 for medic.
Mr. Chairman, I
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, moving on to Trails Inc., and Kim Schreiber is with us, and good to see you this morning on a cold, cold day. This isn't one of those trail mornings, I wouldn't think. Maybe you would like to go out and jog.
There are those in this audience who might consider going out on a day like today.
Okay, there's one that won't, but I mean, that's just me. Good to
Thank
have
you. Thank you very much, and it's good to see you, and thank you very much for your service and for your ear this morning. It was interesting to listen to Tom because so much of what we're going to talk about as well has to do with partnerships, and action creates action. Last week, City Council member Joel Greer proposed to the City Council that they plan for a $30,000 investment in trails, and particularly in Iowa River Trail development. In that deliberation, Councilman Al Hoop actually remarked that the city, if being held to that degree of commitment, should invite the county also to have that degree of involvement, and we actually agree. That's why I'm here today on behalf of Trails Inc. to encourage you to consider a $30,000 commitment to the Iowa River Trail development. Trails are a community asset, and as Tom had remarked, housing is a particularly important deficit in our community, but so too are some amenities that young people and new employees and even businesses find attractive. Trails, recreational trails, have been identified as an asset that does attract new residents and new businesses. Trails have been demonstrated in many urban areas as well as rural areas to be an economic stimulus. Close proximity to trails improves physical health by increasing physical activity levels, and also generally contributes to a better sense of well-being. So there are a lot of community reasons for investing in trails. It is these benefits that have actually stimulated foundations and governments at all levels to offer grant monies. They want to stimulate trail development because of the assets that it affords to a community. And it is also because of those reasons that communities do commit dollars to developing these trails, including city governments and county governments. Trail development is rather capital intensive. We know that, grantors know that, and that is why, generally speaking, trail development doesn't happen except on a long-term basis and except when many different entities come together. Again, grantors know that, they recognize this, and one of the ways that they score grant applications is to determine how broad and deep is the stakeholder commitment within communities to trail development. We have been dinged time and time again on our city and county commitments in acquiring grant funds. We have been very successful in many respects in garnering funds and are pleased to announce that this year we will break ground on the Iowa River Trail development. Having said that, we've left about $1.2 million from just 3 grant sources alone, left them on the table, in part because we scored poorly on stakeholder commitment. And there's nothing better than anteing up to demonstrate there is county support and city support. The revenues for the county are around $25 million in this last budget year. Budget is around $26 million. Total road expenditures are around $6 million. We respectfully ask that the supervisors consider a $30,000 commitment to Iowa River Trail development in 2017. That would be 0.4%, 0.4% of the road budget. That would be 0.1% of the total expenditures overall. Even this small amount of money could be leveraged many times over. And I did highlight some specific examples in the request that I provided to you yesterday, the written letter of request from Trails Inc. Not having budgetary support from the county has, as I said, left several grant money opportunities on the table. So we respectfully ask for that consideration of $30,000. And we thank you very much for all of the cooperation that you have demonstrated this far on a 28E agreement. That's a very unusual and noteworthy working arrangement between the city, county, and a volunteer group, Trails Inc., to develop trails. We thank you for that. We thank you for the in-kind services that you provide to the county parks and to the trails that reside along them. And we thank you for your ear today.
Just a thought, because I know you and Joel are very active in this. Both the city and the county are members of Region 6.
Yes.
A tremendous amount of money comes to the bike path through Region 6 from a product that is called the Transportation Alternative Programs.
Mm-hmm.
These are federal monies where a specific dollar amount that comes back to us from transportation dollars from the federal governments are earmarked for trails.
Yes.
Are you including that
We
in
are.
these applications?
Yes.
Because the city and the
Yes.
county, if you're getting dinged on these things,
Yes.
you need to tout the fact that both the city and the county belong to Region 6, and that these funds from alternative transportation programs come through that program that are funneled through Region 6. Maybe list that as part of your capital donations so that you are not dinged on these.
In addition to that, many other communities have those kinds of affiliation with regional development organizations. Plus, their counties and their cities actually have line items that go toward trail development. And so when we vie with other counties, other entities for trail development, our scoring is lower, simply
Okay.
because there is not any, and even a small amount would be better than nothing. It just shows that there is commitment to trail development for all of the assets that it provides to a community.
You know, I guess one thing that always comes up in my mind is, you know, we've got the current bike trail that we are
Yes.
committed to, and we, quite frankly, struggle to maintain that properly. And in this time of trying to make stretch a dollar to make it fit everything, I'm not sure, you know, we are in a position to add another cost expense to another trail that, because we're not taking care of the one we got, you know, and we could get our secondary roads engineer up here and
Right.
about the cost of that trail that it is costing us to maintain. And I just don't see the dollar there that we could move on, and that's my own.
Kim, one thing I
Yes.
was wondering, down the road, in a few years,
Yes.
and let's say this gets all built, what are your plans on involving the people who use it to pay for it?
presently, we don't have a user fee program. We are considering a Friends program, and that is in development in the Trails Inc.,
See, I know
on the Trails Inc. board.
the conservation people, you know, you buy
Yes.
licenses, the snow
Yes.
people, they take care of that. They buy licenses and they work at it.
Believe me, we're.
Somehow these bicyclists are gonna have to pay.
And-
Because there's a lot of people out there that never are gonna use it. And they're gonna look at it and say, why are you doing this for them? You know, let them
It-
participate in this.
It is
somehow.
remarkable how statistics have demonstrated that there is a lot of payment that goes on through increased business and revitalization of communities when an asset like a trail comes to town. And knowing that the Iowa River Trail is part of the America Discovery Trail is a terrific carrot for communities that reside along that route. Some of the dollars that are realized to support a trail come through increased convention and tourism, and the dollars that are the multiplier effect that those individuals have on the community at large. They also come because housing is important, but so are amenities within a community that a family finds attractive. They're looking for a place to reside, to work, to live, and to play. And outdoor amenities increasingly rank very high on younger demographics of employees.
That's important. I understand that. I understand where some of our businesses in town who bring people in from New York to be part of their organization, you know, they find this difficult to live because of the amenities that we don't have. I understand.
Right.
I'm looking at the money part.
Yes,
I know
and,
you thought- you
and a
thought-
larger tax base, if we could recruit some of those individuals that work here to actually live here, a larger tax base would help us to dig out of this hole, I would think.
Yeah.
So it does take some investment to create
And
opportunity.
You were talking about our budget. Actually, about half of that budget is what we actually levy for. The rest is money that comes in and goes out. And so it isn't as big as it looks. And it is really difficult to dig out. When we go through the budget, we go through it item by item, line by line with every department head. And we look at every $500 and every $1,000 that we can. So we're trying, but it is a little more difficult job than just saying, you know, 0.5% of your budget could do this. And that isn't quite
Appreciate, everyone on Trails Inc. truly appreciates the difficult job that you have. You are not alone. I think just about any community in the United States today is challenged with decisions such as you have.
Oh, yeah.
And other communities find a way to at least provide some tangible support. So we are very respectfully asking you to consider a way to at least show a presence in our applications going forward.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Well, you've done a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for coming. I wasn't getting on you. I'm
I am not
I'm
concerned about
interrelating, okay? Okay.
I appreciate your study as an elected official.
And you know, I've been to a couple of the meetings and early on, and I was very impressed with the people that are there and so strongly behind this. I mean, it is, you know, it is what it is. You guys have really come a long ways. You know, just like with the state and you know, we worked for a couple of years to pass a gas tax. And what that will do for Marshall County is we will bring in over $600,000 to our secondary roads, which we've already spent fixing bridges and doing things like that. Has there ever been anybody with our elected officials at Des Moines on the state level about having some kind of a trail tax?
The I Will program, are you familiar with
No.
that? That is legislation that was actually authorized, and you guys might be able to help me with this a little bit, authorized levying some tax at the state level 2 or 3 years ago, and has never actually been implemented by the legislature. And that would help to fund outdoor recreation spaces, among which are trails, is my understanding. So that is a,
That's
that,
all, yeah, I mean, just,
it also, the I Will program also helps to fund environmental cleanup and et cetera in the state, so, or is proposed to do that, so. There
Tom,
are
has
many
Medic,
things like that.
Medic stepped up to the plate and made any commitment on this? I know Medic receives a $50,000 annual contribution for both the city and the county.
We have not today.
Okay.
In truth, we have not asked, but we will.
you want to ask him right now?
He's smiling, it's a good time to get him.
You know, if there's things that we can do to assist you that might not be monetarily, where it could be in kind through the
Yes.
engineer's office, that's something we can take a look at in conjunction with the engineer's office later on down the road. But we are struggling with our budget.
Yes.
But in kind is something, if we can work something out on that, I think we would probably
That's a
look seriously
terrific
at
offer.
supporting.
It has registered. Again, even a small amount could
Okay.
make a
You know,
difference.
regardless of what people may think, we're not, we support this. You know, we're behind this. And I'll just say it personally, I can't talk for these two guys, but we're behind doing this, but I don't know how we can give you any money. I mean, that's kind of the blunt thing. We're kind of, but if we can come up with something to help another way, you know, I'm sure we can, you know, put something together.
Once again, we have identified in every proposal that we sent in that we have a 2080 working agreement with both the city and the county. And that is persuasive. That does show support. We also have identified that there is some in-kind maintenance service and support that is provided. The thing that dings us, though, is there's no dollar support. And it's just, you know, you look at a scoring sheet, reviewers have probably hundreds of different trail applications to look at, and it is a method by which they screen. And it's one of those sifting things that sifts us out to either a lower level or no level at all. Just want you to be aware. And any financial support that you provide may make us more competitive. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Well, do we want to open up for
Here,
discussion, or?
Do you want to take a person from the,
Yes, yeah, any comments?
I'm Terry Briggs, and I'm actually president of Trails, Inc. I think Ms. Scriver's done a wonderful job at presenting this today. I'm very happy to hear the concept of in-kind contributions, because we can use that as credit for our application for other grants. We need in-kind help from the county, from the city. Volunteers are out trying to clean up the trail. We're looking at actually fixing the bridges with volunteer work. We could definitely use in-kind contribution from the county for some heavy machinery use for that situation. So, Dave, we will be back to all three of you on the concept of in-kind contributions. If you can give us dollars, that would be great. But if you can't, and I guess we all have to respect that, the in-kind contribution could be huge for us. So thank you, and
We'll take it under consideration. Either that or you guys can go out in the hallway with Tom from Medic and fight over his 50,000. Maybe he'll give you 20 or 30 of that.
okay.
You
Appreciate
guys
it.
come on back in and let us know how the fight comes out,
and we'll make adjustments accordingly.
Okay. Are there any questions that we can answer from the supervisors?
Like I say, I'm just impressed on your internal, how many people are working on this. And I was from the early meetings down there at the community center that we had on
Right.
it, so.
I know we've offered before, if you guys are gonna hold any sort of a fundraising event, possibly out to the Grimes Farm or anything, if there's something we can do to help you with the band shell, as far as getting that out there to assist you in a fundraising goal that may assist you with these, those are the types of things that we will be more than receptive to help with. I think it's important to note what Denny said here this morning. There is a misnomer out there that the supervisors have been against the path. That is the farthest thing from the truth. We've always been very supportive of it, just we cannot find the money to support it.
I certainly
We-
appreciate
we-
those comments.
you know-
We appreciate your support, and I think the statements that you made today can go a long ways publicly in the county to verify that the
We've made these
supervisors do
statements
support this project.
many times in the past. Our position that puts us in very difficult positions is this. When we struggle to support the 13 miles of bike path that we currently have, it's awful hard to make a commitment to an additional 23 miles.
Right, but I would ask you to look at the 28E agreement. Trails, Inc. is fully responsible for developing the trail and maintaining the trail. There is no city or county obligation at all in any manner to maintain the trail once it is completed. Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments from the public? State your name and address.
Harold Lanning, 1994 Vine Avenue, Marshalltown. I have a few comments that I'd like to make. Bike trails are an issue with me. And I refer to the bike trail along Highway 30 and 330 as a bike trail that goes nowhere and nobody uses. And every time I drive that road, my wife and I play a little game. You count them and let me know how many there are. And we drive along, how many do you see? Same. Nobody's on it, and so forth. That wall out there, several years ago, I wanted to get a wall put along my driveway, so I had an estimate. $2,500 for just a little short, skinny wall. I can't even begin to imagine how much money is in that wall out there along Highway 30. Maintenance. Several years ago, the bike trail buckled out there with the heat. Well, somebody's got to fix it. Well, I didn't see any bicyclers out there helping to fix it. Where did the money come from? Came from the Conservation Commission, and their estimate was around $2,500, $3,000, something like that, to fix it, and so forth. I just don't see where that bike trail is a worthy investment. Then we come along and we want to build, and did build, the one from the Grimes Center out there. And I spoke at that time. The estimate of that was $1,096,000 something. I don't know if that was the end of cost, but I know that was the estimate and so forth. I spoke at that time what a waste of money that was. And I asked where the money come from. Well, you already alluded to it, Dave, by the Transportation Alternative Program and so forth. Well, that's taxpayers' dollars because in a sense, because it comes back through our tax dollars that come back to us. Now who's going to pay for it? And now we're stuck with the maintenance on that thing as well. And what's that cost going to be? And who's going to cover that? The taxpayers in Marshall County is going to pay for it. I think the taxpayers have had enough expenses with bike trails in maintenance and building them and so forth. And now they're asking you to burden you with some more cost and so forth. And I was at the first proposal when they had it at the council chambers up there, and luckily you said, no, we don't want to get involved in it, and we're not going to support it financially, and I appreciate that. I'm interested, people tell us why we need these bike trails and that they draw people into the community. Well, let me tell you what brings people into the community is good jobs, decent wages, and a decent, responsible company that provides job security and so forth. It's not a bike trail, because I'll guarantee you that those people that are working out there on that floor, working 8 or 10 hours a day, carrying a dinner bucket, are gonna go home and they're gonna worry about how they're gonna provide housing and educate their kids and so forth. They're not gonna hop on their $500 bicycle and go for a bike ride. You've already mentioned about the problem of revenue coming in. We know we're going to be faced with some revenue shortage from some of the things that happen in Des Moines and so forth and that. And it's going to impact me, it's going to impact everybody in here. And the last thing we need is another obligation on a trail. We've got bridges that need to be repaired, Paul can speak to that need to be repaired or replaced. We've got roads that need to be maintained, and we can't do the adequate job that we need to be doing right now. So with reduced funding, you need to prioritize. And my opinion is bike trails are not a priority. They never have been, and they never will be. Then we spend a lot of time with looking for grants and so forth. And I suppose that's probably a worthy cause in some, but we need to spend a little bit more time on looking for grant money to fund a sewer system for a little town up here that has a sewage problem. Let's spend a little bit more time on looking for grant money to help those people out so they can stay there in their homes and so forth and be taxpayers in Marshall County instead of a bike trail.
Harold, believe it or not, we have been, and I know your point, and I thank you for your point and opinion. And let's give somebody else the time, if you would, please.
Well, I've just got a couple more things
You
here.
got more writing there than I got on my notes.
Well, I think the other presentation was a little bit longer, so thank you. Bikers seem to get everything they want for free. You know, Bill or somebody mentioned about snowmobilers. They have to buy a license. They can't ride on the road. Four-wheelers, they have to buy a license. They can't ride on the road. I guess I have to question, why do they get trails made for them at basically no cost? I think it's time that they start digging in their pockets and help paying their way. We're proposing to build a campground at Greencastle, and that's great. I'm all for that, and they'll have to get their money the best way. My point is, if you use it, you're going to have to pay for it, the people that use it. What do the bikers do? They pay nothing. So I think at this point in time, I don't see how you can commit to anything like that. I just say, you said no before, you said no at that time, I hope you will say no again. As a taxpayer, I don't think we need it, and I don't think we can afford it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Harold.
Point taken. Just a couple comments. When we did have the damages because of the excess heat on the bike trail that went to Melbourne, if I might help me out here, didn't we get some assistance from the bike club on repairing that? It's $10,000. That sticks in my mind. So they have ponied up a little bit. Going back to the Green Mountain thing, we're very close to a community development block grant on a sewer system with the Green Mountain deal. The engineering has been done. We're in the process of working with the landowner as far as locating the lagoons. Once we get that done, they'll be able to proceed to the point where they'll be asking the USDA for additional funding for that. So I don't want to make any predictions, but hopefully if some of our meetings this week and next week come out okay, we may be taking a major step forward in the sewage lagoon for the city of Green Mountain. It's a project we've been working on for a long time, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's needed. These things work so doggone slow. It's extremely frustrating to somebody from the private sector, but it is what it is.
Okay. Any other discussion from the public? State your name if you would, please.
I'm Gilbert Berry. I live at 1717 Jessup Avenue. And I came here to comment about our secondary roads, how bad they've got. And we're wanting to build bike trails, and I see more bikers on E29 than I do on the bike trails. Farmers have to use slow-moving vehicles bikers are getting a little smarter in the clothes that they do wear, because you can see some of them now. But there's a good many of them out there wear dark clothes on that blacktop, and they are hard to see. But our secondary roads, something has got to be done out there to those, because we have drug all this dirt up out of the ditch, and they're so slick, they got ruts in them now, and we haven't even had any melting, that you can't hardly drive on them. But that's my comment on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing no other discussion, do we want to just use this as a discussion item?
I think this is just a discussion
I do
item.
too. Okay, all right. Again, Kim, thank you, and Joel, and everybody involved. Thanks for,
We'll try to assist you in the future on some things. We can't make any promises. We are, you know, we're doing this as good faith as we can to keep everybody happy, but things are extremely tight with our budget. And I don't see them slackening up in the future.
all right, thank you very much. We'll move on now to item number 12, Iowa Valley Leadership Class. Carrie? Don't hit your head.
Thank you.
How long is your presentation?
Not very long. I apologize, Carrie's not
Yeah.
able to make it due to the roads, but my name is Paula Wantiz, and I am a class member of the Iowa Valley Leadership Class of 2015-2016. I'm also the HR coordinator at Central Iowa Healthcare. This class, I am one of 27 members of the Iowa Valley Leadership Class, and we have several of them present today. If there are any questions from the community or from the County Board of Supervisors. Our class project is something that we are assigned to do throughout our class, and so we looked throughout the community to find the things that we think we can make a huge impact on. And so our class project is to clean up and beautification on the Fisher Community Center grounds, specifically in the pond area. We as a class see this location as a focal point in our community that has been sort of let go over time. And so as a class, there was an overwhelming response in terms of making sure that this was a priority for us. The funding for this particular project will be in-kind donations, monetary donation requests from individuals and organizations, as well as local and state grants that we are in the process of working towards. The expected work days are going to be in March in terms of the cleanup. We've already got some landscapers and tree removal services lined up. And then hopefully have completion by our graduation time in May of 2016. So we just wanted to come and present to you folks and then also to the community that as leaders in our community, we see that there are lots of improvements that can and should be made in our community that we can participate in. And we appreciate having this platform to be able to present what our class project is doing.
How many in the class this year?
We have 27 folks from all over the businesses here in our community.
How long does that class last?
We started in October and we graduate in May.
Is that right?
So, yeah, and we've put in a lot of extra community service projects as well. Our class instructor, Lynn Oberding, has challenged us to find in ourselves some things that we'd like to go out in the community and do, and we did some things around the Christmas time that we made huge progress towards in terms of donating clothing items to the schools for the little kids, and then also to the Salvation Army. We took over some bell ringing and made a huge impact, so.
Well, then I tell you what, that's a great program, and I've had the opportunity to sit in on a couple of those and give presentations on different items. You guys are always researching different things to look at. It broadens people's ideas and stuff.
Lots of great things that 27 people can do.
Yeah, exactly.
What are the backgrounds of the people who are in your class then?
We've got some folks from MICA. We have Dory from the cemetery. We've got insurance agents, Alliant Energy, Central Iowa Healthcare has about 3 individuals in there. We're leaders in our organization. We're independent leaders within our own lives. A lot of community service that folks are involved in, and it's been amazing, having never been a part of anything like that personally myself, to get together with a bunch of like-minded people and just really try and make an impact on the community that we call our home, not only where we live, but also where we work.
Good.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. Do you have a particular volunteer day in March
Maybe pass along to our, I'm the treasurer here.
Sure.
Pass our employees here in the courthouse if they were looking to help volunteer.
Sure, absolutely. We've got a date set up, and I apologize, I didn't bring my information with me unless one of the other class members has it. We didn't bring all of our items. I know it's in March, but we will definitely get that out there. We've got a trivia night that we've got set up to be part of our fundraising as well. But I believe it's in April is our work day. Set up, and of course, a lot of the thawing is going to have to do with that, and then rain delays. So we'll definitely make sure we get that out so that we can circulate that in the community. But that's a great idea. Thank you very much.
Right now it's set April 9th,
Okay.
and then we've got a rain date of 15th.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 13, lease purchase of vehicles, public hearing. We'll open the public hearing, and if anybody present has any objections or arguments in favor of the lease purchase of vehicles in Marshall County, this would be your time to give us your concern. I will ask, were there any written comments?
No.
Anyone in our group here that attending this public hearing? Any individuals with any oral presentation, comments, questions, or objections? Hearing none, I'll entertain the motion on the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we close the public hearing.
All right, we got a motion.
Second?
Need a second by Patton. Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
All right, moving on to item number 14, resolution number 2016-0005. This is a lease purchase agreement and notification or clarification of debt. This is to the county sheriff department. They've determined vehicles are in need of replacements to allow for inmate transport, proper response to county emergencies, and routine patrol. This is basically, they're looking at a purchase of a lease purchase agreement in amount not to exceed $116,000, and for the levy of taxes into the debt service fund to pay the same, contingent upon approval of the lease purchase agreement at a later date. I would entertain a motion on this resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we adopt resolution number 2016-005, lease purchase agreement and certification of debt for sheriff's vehicles.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
We got a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2016-0005. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Gravenbauer,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
All right, passed and approved on this 9th day of February 2016, Marshall County. All right, item number 15, set hearing on lease purchase financing. We entertain a motion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we, now this is just setting the hearing.
Setting the date.
We're setting the date.
And, pardon me, lost my voice. Move to set the hearing to February 23rd, 2016 at 9 a.m. in the courthouse meeting room number 2. As the time and place for the public hearing on proposed lease purchase financing for secondary road equipment purchase in the 2016-17 county budget.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Moving on to
Paul,
item.
would you please check with Mary on that to make sure that when we do set that public hearing, that if you're up against a time frame on the construction of this equipment, that we can do the approval of the purchase, lease purchase, and the public hearing all at the same day?
Item number 16, set hearing on proposed 2015-16 Marshall County budget amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we set February 23rd, 2016 at 9 a.m. in Courthouse Meeting Room Number 2 as the time and place to conduct a public hearing on the proposed 2015-2016 county budget amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Number 17, set hearing on proposed 2016-17 Marshall County budget.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to set February 23rd, 2016 at 9 a.m. in Courthouse Meeting Room Number 2 as the time and place to conduct a public hearing on the proposed 2016-17 county budget.
Mr. Chairman, I second that item.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? I would just say this is a conclusion of a long two and a half months.
This is the big one.
This is
yeah.
the big one.
You know, it goes slow and it goes fast all at the same
Obviously,
time.
yeah,
We can go
exactly.
back to a real life after we get done with this.
Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 18, request use of courthouse grounds, event in conjunction with Child Abuse Prevention Month. And they're looking at doing this on April 1st as their kickoff rally to raise awareness throughout our community. This has been a normal event that's been planned here at the courthouse grounds for as long as I've been in here. So I'd entertain a motion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the request to hold a kickoff rally on Friday, April 1st, 2016, from 12 to 1 on the courthouse grounds to bring awareness to the community about the importance of preventing child abuse. If raining, the rally will be held in the rotunda on the second floor of the courthouse.
Mr. Chairman, I second this.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Item number 19, Resolution 2016-0006. Whereas from time to time it has been necessary for the Board of Supervisors to sign documents on behalf of Marshall County at the Marshall County Farm Service Agency. This is just a motion to adopt this resolution that we can go out and sign papers if called and if needed.
Yeah, then we need to send this resolution and our signatures down to them, and then
Yes.
we're good to go.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we adopt this resolution 2016-006, resolution authorizing Board of Supervisors to sign documents to the Marshall County Farm Service Agency.
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item number 20. We saved the best to last, maybe? I don't know. This is a request to use Marshall County Jail grounds. Presentation by Brad Imslin on power paragliding. That's something I've never wanted to do, or always wanted to do.
Well, my name's Brad Imslin. I'm also here on behalf of Troy Tuttle. Couldn't be here. He's got to work. So, just a quick PowerPoint. I'm here today put on the agenda to use the parking area around the jail there on the west and north side. I've gone out there, more or less would be in the area for our parking, and to use this for taking off and landing. Would be the northwest corner. That's about the flattest area for us to use. So that's what we're using to take off and land. Just a quick on our equipment, this is what we actually use to strap on our back. It looks like a chair. They call it a butt fan in the community. It's the motor and the prop. That's what gives us our thrust. And I got a quick couple of videos here. Oh, there's our wing. It's not a fixed wing aviation. It looks like a parachute. And what we do, we strap it on, we clip it in our equipment, and then we kind of start running. So it comes up over our head, and it looks like a wing. And that's what it looks like when I'm in the air. Sit in it. The FAA legally lets us go up to 18,000 feet, but we don't go that high. Usually between 500 feet to 5,000 feet.
Wow.
And what do we do to get the video to play? Enter?
Could we send our buildings and grounds director up in one so we could see if it really works? He's using it to ride a bicycle.
Now this is
We're gonna need a bigger
How about a
fan.
treasurer?
This is actually my first time taking off. It's the only video I had. So it looks kind of sloppy. It's gotten a lot better since then. Well, oh, darn it.
Do you have a parachute? Would you use a parachute? Oh, we don't get up high enough to use a parachute.
Yeah, we've actually got this parachute, so if the motor does fail, we're always looking for a way out.
I would suggest that.
But we also do have a backup reserve should something catastrophic happen. So we just come floating down.
So the chute takes care of both you and the equipment?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It is the safest form of aviation. I really wish the video would have worked, but, we do have permission to use the grass strip up in Grundy, right there on the S-curves. We're just looking for something closer, you know, it's what, half-hour drive to get up there, someplace close.
How often would you use this?
It's every chance we can.
How do we determine,
If there's functions out there, obviously we won't be there. We will go to Grundy. If there's any concerns being out there by the jail, all we want is to just get up in the air, and we could fly 60 miles on this, so we just want to get up and we get out of town.
what about liability?
I do have forms signed by myself and Troy that would, it's a waiver, should anything happen, you know, the county wouldn't be liable.
Well, there are probably three things that I can think of. We probably need to get with the sheriff, get
I've got several notes, yep.
clearance with him, buildings and ground, or not as much them as but the power antique power people.
Yep.
And I think our county attorney should
Look over the waiver,
your-
sure, I
your-
totally
your
understand.
waiver,
Sure.
because there again, we're talking about something, you know.
There is
iffy.
risk.
I mean,
I
yeah.
mean, there's risk to everything, but
We,
yes.
we currently lease this ground to the
Oh, okay.
Antique Power Association.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to clear it with them
Okay.
and go with that.
And
That would
don't
be
we
done
have-
by or Phil Tetzloff.
Don't we have to, I mean, we just, it can't be left open. I mean, I'm sure the weather is a big deterrent.
Oh, yeah,
If it's
it
too
does.
windy.
I mean, if it's the 30s, we could fly, but like today, no.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're gonna need to sit down and clear it with the sheriff and make sure that there aren't stay away so many feet regulations from Ted or
Yes.
anybody else, because we have federal prisoners out there. We also have a gun range
Yes.
that is used from time to time. For those of these who don't know, if the red flag is up, stay out of the range.
Stay out of the way.
Red is fire. It's not a safe place to be. But you're gonna have some work ahead of you and some things to check with.
Okay.
Definitely the sheriff being one, Mid-Iowa Antique Power, either Phil Tetzloff or Don By.
Okay.
Those two gentlemen, and they're good guys. I'm sure they won't have any problem, but I won't speak for them. The attorney's gonna need to look over the hold harmless agreement, and I think after you have done your legwork on that, maybe set this up to come before the board a second time.
Okay.
After all those i's are dotted and t's are crossed, and we can go from there. But, you know, Fina Dagi Da. Fina Da, somebody that's one all Norwegian speaking to somebody else that's another Norwegian in our
Yeah.
native tongue. Aren't you smarter than this? You know?
A little bit of an adrenaline junkie, I guess.
How many people participate? How big's your group?
I fly quite frequently down in Quincy, Illinois. That's where I learned. I tell you the truth, when I got into this, I thought I was the only one around. And then I found Troy, and then he thought the same thing.
You lost one guy, they put him in jail, the one that landed in the.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
White House lawn,
in the court, or the White House there, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you can fly in the land of the courthouse.
Yeah, but he was a
We do not
postal
allow that.
employee.
Yeah.
He was a postal employee.
Was he?
Yeah.
I guess go back and, you know, do your homework
Do
on
the
that,
sheriff
come
and
back
then
to us,
antique
let us
power,
know.
and then the
The attorney?
attorney?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep, I think that'd be
I'll
good.
definitely do that.
I would, you know, I can't speak for my counterparts, but I think once you've got all those things dotted, and the i's and t's crossed, you know, I would certainly give you support to do it.
Okay. It's
I'd like to try.
pretty cool to see. I get a lot of people
Is there a weight
watching.
limit? Is there a weight limit on these?
Nope,
Height,
See, you can do it.
just a bigger
Yeah.
wing.
you're gonna need a bigger fan.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Brad. Looking forward to having you come back.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on now to the public forum. This is time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in the public forum. Any public?
Mr. Barry, you got some more to?
I'd like to comment a little bit more about our
Yeah.
secondary roads and the way they're being taken care of. As I said before, I'm Gilbert Berry, I live at 1717 Jessup Avenue, Albion. We have put gravel on our road this last year, and we turned around and covered it all up with dirt. We drug off of the edge of the road. And now every time it thaws, the roads get so slick you can't hardly drive on them. And it's leaving ruts in our roads, which is taking the alignment out of our vehicles as we drive over these frozen roads that have got ruts in them already, and we haven't went through our spring thaw. When the roads are really gonna get bad, we're gonna have to embargo the whole county. This is a question I'm putting up to the supervisors. Are we gonna embargo the whole county so that we can't drive on them?
No. No.
Well,
We'll take your suggestions and comments to our engineer and we'll
our
go from
roads
there.
were not designed for the farmers to all have semis, which we all have semis today.
Semis, yes.
And we don't have a base in our road that can carry the weight that's trying to be put down them. But the farmers can, and I don't have any big equipment, I don't farm anymore. But when you meet a farmer coming down the road, he has to be off to the side, because if he drives down the middle, his equipment's dragging the center out of the road, tearing his equipment up. I just don't feel we need quite the pitch that we have on our secondary roads that we have today.
You're speaking of the crown.
Yeah, the crown. I think the guy should have been, excuse me, should have been a roofer, because we've got pretty close to a 412 pitch on our road.
All right, thanks, Gilbert. Anything else? I just want to comment that on the 15th, the courthouse, the Marshall County employees are off that day because of President's Day, I guess. And but the state people are there. The county attorney will be there. But all other county offices are closed on the 15th. But the courthouse still open for state attorneys. Did I make that perfectly mixed up?
You made that clear as mud, and this has been a frustration for the supervisors for several years, that the county and the state calendar is not identical. A lot of it has to do with the paid holidays and the holidays that the county takes, and they're somewhat different than the state. It would be, in a perfect world, to get us all on the same calendar so that for buildings and grounds purposes, when we do have a holiday, we can actually totally shut down the building and not have staff on being there for an expense. And I think it's something we need to more aggressively look at next year when we set our calendar.
Okay, anything else?
Did that make it clear as mud?
We're both equal.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd say you're equal, yeah.
All right.
Next item is our adjournment. The next regular session is scheduled for February 23rd, 2016 at 9 a.m. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the county auditor and recorder's office or the Board of Supervisors office by Thursday, February 18th, 2016 at 1 p.m. There will be no further business coming from the board. We are adjourned at 10:13. Thank you.